The Donald Trump hush money criminal trial kicks off its fifth week this morning with one of the most anticipated witnesses of the entire trial expected to take the stand today. Michael Cohen, the former attorney and fixer for Trump, is set to testify about his role in negotiating the hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels on Trump's behalf during the 2016 presidential campaign to keep her quiet about an alleged sexual encounter with Trump. Cohen contends the reimbursements to him were falsified at Trump's direction, which is central to the prosecution's case, but the defense will undoubtedly hammer away at Cohen's credibility. In 2018, he pleaded guilty to federal campaign finance violations and other charges and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. But even before taking the stand, Cohen was a key point of discussion on Friday when Judge Juan Merchan told prosecutors to ask Cohen to stop commenting publicly about the former president or the hush money trial itself. Trump's lawyers argued that it was not fair for their client to be under a gag order and not be able to talk about Cohen while Cohen was free to talk about Trump. Additionally, prosecutors said they have 2 witnesses left to call and may be able to rest their case by the end of this week. The defense may then call its own witnesses. Let's bring in former litigator and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin, also with us. The president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, Reverend Al Sharpton. Lisa, I'll start with you with what you're looking for today. What can we expect today?
So, Mika, before the trial started, I said that I expected Michael Cohen sort of to be like the narrator or the tour guide here, that he's the one person other than Allen Weisselberg who won't be testifying, who might have had a view of the entire narrative here from start to finish, from that August 2015 meeting where David Pecker, Michael Cohen, and Donald Trump devised the conspiracy for how they were going to use American media and specifically the National Enquirer to ensure Donald Trump had his best chance at election, all the way through the end of 2017 when the repayment scheme was finished. But I was wrong about that. Instead of being the narrator, think about Cohen today as sort of the sum up guy, and specifically the guy who's going to fill the gaps that can't be filled by other witnesses. There are several episodes here that are uniquely within Michael Cohen's knowledge and for which there is no substitute, specifically conversations that he had with Trump in which Trump may have, as he put it when he pled guilty in August 2018, directed him specifically to ensure that the payments to Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels were made. And then after the election, any conversations that they had that would tie Trump directly to that repayment scheme that prosecutors allege constituted 34 counts of falsification of business records. We've seen evidence to date that those payments were, in fact, disguised as payments for legal services that were never rendered, pursuant to a retainer agreement that seemingly didn't exist. But what we haven't seen so far is any direct evidence that Donald Trump himself directed that. At best, we've seen a piece of paper showing that Allen Weisselberg, his trusted deputy and the former CFO, sort of sketched out exactly how this repayment scheme was going to work. We also know that Donald Trump himself signed 9 checks, attached to which there was paperwork saying they were for legal services and they were for a retainer by each month. Count on Michael Cohen then today to start filling those gaps in the already substantial evidentiary record, but they're gaps only Michael Cohen can fill.
And as Michael Cohen fills these gaps, because he's the one now that the prosecution has laid out the case, the checks, the Weisselberg correcting or etching some stuff out and putting in what they want. All of these things like breadcrumbs leading somewhere. Cohen is the one that can say exactly what happened, exactly what the conversation was. And he went to jail in part for this. He's already done time here. So for the prosecution has laid that out, but for the defense to say that Michael Cohen is not a credible witness, well, he's conceding that. I went to jail for exactly what Donald Trump and I did for those reasons. And doesn't it, Lisa, put the defense in a peculiar position that if Cohen testifies to this and it keeps us cool and does this under fire, the only evidence they can bring in to counter him would be to put Donald Trump on the stand. If Donald Trump and Michael Cohen had these conversations confidentially, how do they contradict it in defense?
I don't think that they're going to contradict it directly, Rev. What they're going to do is just completely pick apart Michael Cohen's credibility. And unfortunately, Michael Cohen has given them some ammunition to do so. When Michael Cohen pled guilty to a series of federal crimes, one of the things that he pled guilty to was tax evasion that really wasn't connected to his misdeeds for Donald Trump. He has subsequently said publicly many times, I actually didn't commit those crimes. I said that I did in front of a federal judge under oath to spare my family. That may be intelligible to people, but that still constitutes a lie under oath. And they are going to use that to their advantage to pick Michael Cohen apart and say, if you were lying then when you pled guilty to these other crimes, how do we know that you're not lying now and that you didn't lie also about the campaign finance scheme in order to save your own hide?